Yo, what up fam? Welcome back to another episode of Q Reviews. In this Q review, we'll be going over Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining, directed by Mike Flanagan, starring Rebecca Ferguson, Ian McGregor, and a bunch of wonderful cast of characters. Now, Dr. Sleep is written by Stephen King, who also wrote The Shining, which of course is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, directed by the late, great Stanley Kubrick. Now, The Shining is a lot of people's favorite horror movies, which I'm finding out. As a kid, I was always intrigued by The Shining. I remember watching that at the drive-in and just seeing them roll around in that hotel on that big wheel. So I was around the same age. And it's just a masterpiece of a film. Now, how does Dr. Sleep compare to The Shining? That's what everybody want to fucking know, right? Does it compare to The Shining? Is it better than The Shining? No. It is not better than The Shining, but it is a worthy sequel. So we now follow the story of Danny. Danny's all grown up now. He has a serious alcohol problem. You know, sins of his father, like his father was a alcoholic in the first Shining, if you remember. So this kind of follows him through, and it makes sense of he's trying to hide these feelings of what happened to him at the Overlook Hotel, and we kind of follow him through, and through his shining, that's his power, like his psychic power, his psychic ability. And he still has these abilities, but there are other people out in the world that has shining as well. And these people out here, they feed on the shining, or people who have the shining to keep them, you know, forever useful, or kind of live forever. I tell you what, you know what I'm saying, them dealing with the shining powers gave me like a feeling of a near dark, like vampire movie, of them feeding off people with the shining, going to hunt these people down. These are the villainous people of the movie, played by the hat named Rebecca Ferguson and her crew, and they just go around feeding off of people in the shining, and that gave me a serious vampiric vibe. And what they do in this movie, Dr. Sleep, with the mythology of the shining is very interesting. Now, this movie has a runtime of 2.5 hours and it's very long, but this movie does something smart and sets you up with the characters. Danny Torrance's life was kind of interesting, and how he dealt with the shining that made it feel real. The way they deal with psychic abilities in this movie, it just seemed like this would be a real thing of how the shining will be used and how the people will be trying to get it. And that's another big thing that I liked about this movie. It was original. They didn't dick ride the shining. It's throwbacks in the shining. The Overlook Hotel is in there. You see that in the trailer, and that's not all the way into the third act of the movie when the Overlook Hotel. But no, they take a different approach with Dr. Sleep, and they go a direction that makes sense for a sequel. That's why I call this a real sequel to The Shining, you know. But it's not better than Kubrick's Shining. I mean, that masterful cinematography, you just can't beat that. But I'm here to say that Dr. Sleep is fire.
Very good.
Now, Mike Flanagan directed his ass off in this movie. He also directed The Hunter in the Hill House and Hush. This is some of his best work here. It's not a lot of straight jump scares in your face, you know what I'm saying, like The Conjuring or whatever Annabelle sequel. I think there's very few jump scares. And as I would say, this movie, it's a horror movie, but like I said, it's more like on a thriller, vampire, psychic X-Men type thing. It's really hard to explain, which makes this movie sort of original. Now, there are horrific things. There's one thing that happens with a child in this movie, like, that's fucked up, son. That shit is kind of disturbing. But I was, you know what I'm saying, I was loving all this originality in this movie, and the movie was so investing that I couldn't go to the bathroom. I drank a large iced tea, but I had to see what's going to happen next in this movie. And all the throwbacks to The Shining are great once we get to that Overlook Hotel, and you get all your great shots that you know it's The Shining. It's not quite blatant on the nose. I mean, if you're a fan of The Shining, you're gonna know what you're looking at, but it's not completely recreated, like say a Ready Player One, if you know what I'm saying. And I gotta give respect for the writing. The writing in here is really good by Stephen King. Stephen King wrote this, of course, and the writing is really good. It's a really clever story and plot, and I really enjoyed the writing of this film, that being an actual sequel and not just recreating the same movie that you did over and over again. Dark Fate, Terminator, yeah, you know. So as for film, the performances, Ian McGregor is great as Danny. Rebecca Ferguson is fire here as the villain. They spend a lot of fucking time with these villains, so you know who they are. And I don't know, man. I just thought it was dope. If I had some issues with the movie, I say the movie is a bit long. It's a bit long, but I was invested in, you know, in the entire movie. The third act, I would say, you know, it's a lot of fan service there in the third act, but I really enjoyed it. Some things I might like, I you know, maybe would have cut out. And it was this one shot when they're going back to the Overlook Hotel that something bothered me, was this CG tree. I was like, don't do it, don't be a CG tree. Oh, it was a CG tree, you know, and it was shot at night, so I know that was for budget restrictions or whatever. But overall, Dr. Sleep was fucking fire. It didn't have a lot of jump scares. It was scary when it needed to be. It was thrilling when it needed to be. The acting was on point. They had quiet moments with characters that build character. This movie builds characters. 2.5 hours long, but when the shit go down, you're completely invested with this story. And for that, I'm gonna give Dr. Sleep a 4 out of 5. The movie was fire. I want to watch them back to back because I own The Shining on 4K, the 4K Blu-ray. But this is definitely one I would like to watch back to back. Kubrick's The Shining and now Dr. Sleep, because I think it's a great sequel to The Shining if you appreciate the mythology that they done here. I thought the shit was dope, man. So have you guys seen Dr. Sleep? Are you guys thinking about going to go see Dr. Sleep? Let me know in the comments below. And if you really like this video, go ahead, hit me that like button. And of course, if you really like this video, consider subscribing to Q Reviews, become a part of the family. And don't just stare at it, eat it. Peace.